Hi, this is Antonio and today is Sunday, the 12th of March 2017 and the time now is 1400 hours and 34 minutes. Today I would like to invite you to reflect with me on the concepts of freedom and restriction so that we may understand freedom better and make the most of it. But first, let's think about restriction. For I would suggest that unless you keep restriction on the forefront of your mind, you may either not use freedom, be ignorant of freedom, or of course, in worst case scenario, abuse freedom. So let's take a few examples. Number one, if you are to be locked in a prison cell for whatever reason, the reasons for this purpose are immaterial. This is a hypothetical situation. If you were to be locked in a prison cell right now for whatever reason, what would be your first thought? Nothing else but freedom, freedom, freedom. Number two, if you were to be prevented from working explicitly for whatever reason, what would be your first thought? Nothing else but work, work, work. Number three, if you were to be prevented explicitly from traveling to a particular country for whatever reason, as in the case of US President Donald Trump, travel ban, what would be your first thought? Nothing else but let them in, let them in, let them in. You would, even if you never thought of traveling to America, you would want to travel to America precisely because of the restriction. Number four, if you were prevented explicitly from having an education for whatever reason, as in the case of the Nobel Peace Prize winner, the girl Malala, what would be your first thought? Nothing else but education, education, education. So now this is important for the purposes of this analysis. If you are not explicitly or forcefully restricted from either education, travel, work, or basic movement, do you still think, or do you shout, or do you fight for freedom? Do you fight for work? Do you fight for education? Do you fight for travel? Of course, the answer is no. Without explicit restriction, there is no fight for freedom. Let me say that again. Without explicit restriction, there is no fight for freedom. Remember Nelson Mandela and others. So, what to do with freedom without explicit restriction? Do you sit around taking freedom for granted, watching time go by, or do you stand up nonetheless for freedom? Or do you fight nonetheless for freedom? Or do you fight nonetheless for work? Or do you fight nonetheless for travel? Or do you fight nonetheless for education? But again, if there are no restrictions, isn't the fight for freedom somewhat absurd? It is, of course, a case of who do you fight against if there are no explicit or external restrictions. In the examples above, those fought against the apartheid, fought against the Taliban, some are fighting against US President travel ban, and others are fighting still for freedom because of explicit or forceful restrictions in various justice systems. Bring in restriction and the fight for freedom starts in earnest. So that's the paradoxical situation of freedom. Because once you are free at last, the fight for freedom ends. And to stop the fight for freedom is to be defeated. So what to do? To resolve this, we must learn to identify if there aren't explicit or overt restrictions. We must learn to identify the hidden, the unspoken, the unobvious restrictions on the path for freedom, on the path for travel, on the path for work, on the path for education, and decide to fight those hidden, unspoken, unobvious restrictions with the same determination as Nelson Mandela and others. Therefore, we must decide to identify those hidden, unspoken restrictions if we are not explicitly or forcefully restricted to continue the fight for freedom. And if you are truly free in every context, then you must use initiative to explore education, to explore travel, to explore work, and to explore education, and also to explore other untrodden paths, untrodden places, untrodden palaces, and understand freedom in a much wider and deeper way. So this is it for this video, and before I go, I would like to clarify one point, which is the purposes of these videos are threefold. One, to communicate; two, to practice my skills; and three, to record my thoughts. So if this helps, that's great, and I hope it does. So that is it, and the time now is 1442 minutes, and I wish you a good day and to freedom.